Hey, my creative friends. It is time to talk about creativity. My name is Shannon from Shannon Studio, and I do a video every day to help us remember or learn more about creativity and what we can do in our lives to have a creative life and live a creative lifestyle. So, day before yesterday, we talked about an idea book, and yesterday we talked about an image book. Okay, that's what we did. The day before was an idea book and an image book, and you need those two things. And then you're set to start out on your journey to having a creative lifestyle, thinking creatively, deciding how you want to make things and do things. So today I thought I would talk about how to use your idea book. And one way, you can use your idea book in however you want, in whatever way, add whatever things you want. But one way I do mine is I listen to podcasts, TED Talks, lectures, I go to conferences, I do a lot of things where I take notes. And I don't only do it for my creativity stuff, I also do it for my church stuff and for my business stuff. So I take a lot of notes, and I kind of have a system down that I do, and it's really helpful for me. And if you noticed, I did just upload some videos, a couple little videos and some images of some notes. So I took two of my videos and did some notes on them so you could see what I was talking about. First off, before we even start, you have to know, you have to have an attitude that this is going to be messy, that it's not going to be perfect, that it's just, it doesn't lend itself to perfection. It lends itself to learning. So that's what you want to keep in mind. And I'm gonna tell you a little quote. It says, got this from an article from Anne-Laure Le Cunff, C-U-N-F-F. I don't even know how to say that. But she was talking about note-taking allows you to better remember what you read. The effort makes new pathways in the brain and encodes the information in a way that stores it better long term. So what it's doing is it's not just staying in your short-term memory, it's staying in your long-term. She was talking specifically about what you read, but this goes for what you hear and however you want to take your notes. So here is the one that I did for Creativity is Self-Care, video 63. And I uploaded this image on my Facebook page, and I also redid the image on my iPad, so you could, and put a little video in it because you can see step by step how I went through it. So it's not quite the same as doing it in my idea book, but it does give you an idea to see the thought process and things that I go through. Now I usually don't use my iPad, but I wanted you to see the video. So some of the things I do on it don't lend themselves to doing it in your idea book unless you do it in pencil and then go back over with pen. And maybe you want to do that. But like I said, it's messy. So maybe you just like wing it and put stuff in there in ink. That's what I do. And sometimes it doesn't fit. Sometimes it's all squished on one side and there's a big space on the other side. So in those videos, I am not familiar with the sizing, so you could see sometimes I was too big, sometimes I made it smaller, but I just thought it would be helpful for you to see that. So I'm gonna, and it's fun, it's just fun to see that. So I have a few tips about making these kinds of note-taking, and a lot of people call this sketchnoting, so because it's making notes with little sketches. So the first thing is Imagery, icons, and abbreviations. We already have a whole load of abbreviations, especially in this day and age, to be honest, TBH, different ones that are very common. You can use those. Abbreviations I use are like S/B for should be, or people, PPL. I use EX colon tons because it means example. So example, and then the W/ means with. So you're gonna have abbreviations that you know and you can use. And that's a little shorthand for you when you're taking the notes. Another one is icons. You can use emoticons, you can use the icons that we already know, like $signs, exclamation points, question marks. It's already established in how we use them, so that's an easy grab to take those because they already exist in your knowledge base. And then imagery. Use just simple shapes. You don't have to get all crazy. If you want to, go ahead, but you can just use simple shapes and stick figures. I think like this one right here, I used, when I was describing the woman, I just used a stick figure to represent her. So you don't have to have a bunch of drawing skills. You don't have to be an artist in order to make little shapes and things in your book. So the second tip is big ideas and bold ideas. Get big lettering or bold lettering. So if you have a bold idea, something that you really want to remember, what I do is just go over it and over it, the same letters. And eventually it gets bolder. And if I want something, it's a big idea, I use big lettering. I use a hierarchy of lettering. Something that's really important, I make big. The other things I make small. So you have that variety on a page. So like everything's not all big and everything's not all tiny. Then you kind of make your point with the size of your lettering, and then you make a super point with how many times you go over a word to make it bold. Now 3, you need to have a way when you're listening to somebody. When you're listening to somebody give a lecture or a TED Talk or a podcast or this video, you're going to have your own thoughts when somebody's talking, but you're taking notes. So sometimes when you go back, you're going to go, did she say that or did I say that? So what I do is I have a certain little thing that I do so I know it's my thoughts. So I use those little, not the parentheses, but the brackets that are like this, that are the squared off brackets. And also sometimes I'll just put -me and circle it -me so I know it's my thought. So you can keep your thought from their thought. Because sometimes that's important. When you go back, sometimes you're not going to know what these are going to be used for, or sometimes when you go back, you just don't know. I have so many notes, I just don't know who said what sometimes if I don't make that distinction. So make that distinction when something that's your thought. 4, change the orientation on the page. I'm going to see if I have anything. Yeah, I have something in here. The orientation on the page is a good one, because sometimes we just get going and there's a lot of information and you want to just differentiate between some thoughts, like skipping around. If somebody skips around, and of course, do you think I could find one that I do? And I know I do it all the time, but no, of course I can't find one now. Here's a page. Okay, so here's, and you can see right in the middle, I did sideways. I do that all the time, sideways. And sometimes because that's the space that's left, it's like this little narrow space, and so it's like I can't go across like this, so I just go sideways. So that's something you can do that naturally breaks it up without having a specific thing you can do. Here's another thing. Of course, you have arrows, brackets. You can do different things to add and section off information. And another one is to lead thoughts into other thoughts. So this leads from this, goes over to this, goes down to this. So you have this continuation of thoughts and processes of ideas. So that's using the borders, the arrows, that is number 5. Number 6 is to take cues from your speaker. So if somebody says the 3 things, well, you know there's going to be 3 things, so you could even number them. Start with 1 through 3, and then then maybe, oh, I only have a teeny bit of space here at the bottom. That's not going to really fit. I'd rather put it over there. Leave this blank. And or when somebody says the key concept, if it's a key concept, then oh, big letters, bold the letters, like write over and over and over. Or the 10 steps, or this is my process. So then oh, something's a process. It's going to go from one point to another point to another point. You could use arrows or something like that. I had another thought that I just had, but I can't remember it. But there's tons more with the note taking. But I just thought I'd throw out a few ideas since I said how important it was to have an idea book. That this might help you with your own ideas. You don't have to listen to a lecture necessarily or a podcast or anything, but I thought I already know Tricia got her book. She said so in one of her comments that she had already gone out and gotten her book. And so I know that sometimes when we have a blank book and we, it's like, oh, I don't want to mess it up, and you're a little nervous, I thought, here's some tips for you to use, and you can use these videos and start to have your own creative thought library in your idea book by following along these videos and taking notes, or listening to it live and then going back and going, oh, there was a part that I really wanted to remember, and just take a note on that part. So then your book starts to have some things in it that you don't have to be nervous about, that you can just start with and just get going. And then once you start getting stuff in there, it's not gonna worry you about what you do or don't put in there. It's just gonna be yours, and you're gonna have those pages, and they're still gonna start having meaning for you, and it'll be great. Just trust me on this. It'll be really good to get your thoughts on paper. So let me see. The same article I told you about, she had something else to say. She said research. Oh, and she said that none of the learning that she's talking about happens just by listening. This is all with your note taking. So she said research shows that compared to writing alone, adding sketches to your notes has a great impact on learning. So what you're doing here is you're learning about creativity, you're learning about things, you're learning about your own ideas. And so write them down, even if it's some lame idea. My books are full of lame ideas, and I'm like, what did I write that for? But when you go back, the process that you're gonna have in reading back and seeing them, and in all actuality, I can go through my notes because they have pictures and sketches with them, and the concepts come so fast that I can repeat them back. It's just a great thing. Yes, trust me on this. Get your idea book, write down, start taking notes, start with these videos. It'll give you good practice, because you'll be awkward at first, but then you'll get into this rhythm, and you'll know how you take notes and you write down ideas. It'll be so good. So if you have if you've gotten your book, share that you've gotten your book. If you have ever taken notes and stuff and seen the benefits of it, share that. If you have any questions about note taking, it seems like Laura Lean had a question yesterday about the idea book or the image book. So if you have any questions, just let me know as well, and maybe we can cover them in a video. So that is it for tonight. Remember, you have a creative heartbeat, so listen for it. And we will be together again tomorrow. I'll see you later.